Matthew chapter 25, starting in verse 14. So what we're jumping in is a story that Jesus tells. Jesus right now, he is telling a story. And what these stories are called parables. And what these parables are stories that Jesus, and not only just Jesus, but teachers, rabbis in this time, stories that they would tell with intent. They would have an intention behind the story that they're telling. And so we're jumping into one of these stories that Jesus is telling. And it starts off this way. So verse 14, Matthew 25, here's the story. It says, "Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey." All right? So a master is about to go on a journey, so he calls 3 of his servants, gives each of them a bag of gold, 5 to one, 2 to the other, and then 1 to the next. And then he goes on. He says, "The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money." Interesting. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. "Master," he said, "you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more." His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." The man with 2 bags of gold then also came. Okay, 2 bags now. His master said, "You entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I've gained 2 more." So his master replied, said the same thing. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness." Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. "Master," he said, "I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you." His master replied, "You wicked and lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have in abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Wow. Does Jesus have your attention? Yeah. Wow. That is the point. That is the goal. And so from these verses today, I want to share a message with you. I want to call it, "In the Meantime, the World Around Us." In the meantime, the world around us. We've been in February going through our vision statement that we shared in the first week, and it's this, that people would experience life-defining moments with God, their community, and the world around us. So today I want to share from this theme. In the meantime, the world around us. And here's the truth. We spend so much of our life in the meantime. The truth, we spend so much time of our life in this in between. And this is, and what we do in the meantime and in between actually matters a lot. But the thing is, it doesn't get lots of love. Let me explain what I mean. For example, when somebody has a baby, right? There's a moment when they get pregnant, and there's a day that they have the baby, but there's lots of days in the meantime, isn't there? Like, I remember when my wife and we found out that we were going to have a baby. Let me just say this, it was not in our plans, okay? At this point, it was not what we had planned for this season of our life. And I remember we were sitting there one moment, and we realized, we're like, all right, we are about to have a baby. What do we do now? Like, what in the world do we do now? And here's the truth. We did not mess around, okay? Like, we did all of the reading. Like, we are those people, okay, where, like, we took every single class there was. There was a class that taught people diaper changing technique. We were there. I don't know why, but we took the class. We were there, like, there's a baby doll on the table, and you were changing its diaper on the table, and they were trying to teach you, like, right technique, tell you what to do. We took it. We took every class, everything that there was to take, right? We are those people. We did not mess around. And I am so glad that we had these 9 months in the meantime to prepare, to take care of things that we needed to take care of, to do things that we needed to do, right? I am so glad that we had this time. It was crucial for us. It was huge for us to have this time in between. Or I think about, people getting engaged or engagements. Think about it. There's a day you get engaged, a day you get married, and for some, lots of days in between. If you're a Christian, few days in between. I'm just kidding. If you go to, never mind. Don't make that one. All right. But there's days in between, right? But it doesn't get lots of love, does it? There's a party for the engagement. There's a party for the wedding. There ain't no party for the meantime. But I remember, in the meantime, having conversations with my wife that made us who we are today. I remember, in the meantime, sitting at marriage counseling with my wife and setting irreplaceable things to the foundation of our marriage that allowed us to be the people that we are today. The meantime, these moments, this time in between matters a lot. But it doesn't get lots of love. Even though we spend so much time in life, you can talk about job, retiring, you can think of all of these different things that we spend in the meantime. It matters. And so today, we jump into a story in Matthew 25 where Jesus is preparing his disciples. He is actually about to leave. Okay, Jesus, he is getting ready to head out. We actually jumped into the part of the story where this is the last few days of Jesus' life on earth. In the next few days, Jesus is actually about to get handed over, beaten, crucified, and killed. Okay, so we are in the last few days of Jesus' life, and he starts sharing these stories with his disciples, and he starts saying, all right, I am about to leave. I'm about to head out, okay? One day, I will be back. Don't worry, I will return. So let me prepare you for in the meantime, okay? Let me prepare you for that in between. Can you imagine how many questions they're about to have? These disciples who have been living every single day with Jesus for the last 3 years, he's gone. Well, what do we do now? Right? What do we just wait for you to come back? Do we go home? Literally, what do we do now? What do we do, Jesus, in the meantime? And so Jesus tells them a story. He says, it will be like a man who goes on a journey. And so in this story that Jesus tells, it speaks to us, right? Here, 2,000 years later, guess what? We are still in the meantime. We are still in the in-between. What do we do? What are we supposed to be doing, right? What is this supposed to look like? And so in this parable, in this story that Jesus tells, we find 3 things, okay? We find a call, an encouragement, and a warning, okay? So first, let's begin with the call. So he starts off the story like this. Again, it will be like a man who goes on a journey. I'm about to go on a journey, guys. Who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then this master went away. He went on his journey. Have you ever been given a gift that requires responsibility? Anybody? Has anybody ever given you a plant or even a little more responsibility, like a pet? Have you ever been gifted something like that? A few weeks ago, someone at small group was telling me that they gifted a friend a pet fish, right? And that's not a ton of responsibility, right? Like a pet fish is not a lot of responsibility. But not only did they gift their friend a pet fish, they also bought them a year subscription or supply of fish food for the whole year, okay? And then not only did they buy him a pet fish, not only did they give them a year supply of fish food, but what they did is they would actually go over to their house and be the one that cleans the tank for them. They would go over and they would upkeep everything that they need to do. And here's the truth. If you're gonna give me a gift that requires responsibility, that's the kind of friend you need to be, okay? I mean, can I be honest, right? If you're gonna give me a pet or a gift that requires a responsibility on my part, that's who you gotta be. But the truth is, okay, that's funny, but the truth is it depends on what kind of gift you're given, doesn't it? If you're gonna accept the responsibility or not. It depends on if you care about the gift, value the gift, if the gift is important to you at all, right? Like somebody would give me a free car. Man, I will gladly do the oil changes. Yes, thank you. You know what I mean? I will accept the responsibility with joy, right? Or if I were to gift my wife an English cream dachshund. She loves dachshunds, grew up with dachshunds, and she loves the little cream ones, the ones that look like little golden retrievers and they stay small. She's obsessed. If I were to gift my wife a little baby English cream dachshund, she would accept the responsibility with joy. It would be a breeze. She would be pumped about it because it matters what the gift is, right? And the first thing that Jesus wanted to tell his disciples in this story is this: you've been given a gift. And they're supposed to think back to the last 3 years of their life. Everything that Jesus has done for them, everything that Jesus has shown them and taught them, everything that they have experienced. Jesus says that you have received a gift. See, they were supposed to see themselves in this story as those that were given great wealth. But here's the thing. They were given a gift that is completely free to them, but it requires responsibility. Not only were they given a gift, but I need you to see that they were also entrusted with it. They were entrusted with what they were given. See, Jesus is telling them, everything that you've been living with me, you've been following me for the last 3 years, everything that you have received from me, everything that you have experienced, and everything that I have done in your lives has been a gift. But what I need you to know and what I need you to see is that it is a gift that I am entrusting you with. Not to just keep for yourself, but to go and see it multiplied in the world around you. What Jesus was trying to communicate to them is, you are no longer just my students or disciples. You are now my partners. Do you see that? And the next day, he's going to call them friends. And so us today, here, 2,000 years later, the reality is you and I have been given this same gift. And here's the thing about this gift that you and I have been given. It is completely and totally free. There is nothing that you could do to earn this gift. There is nothing that you could do to deserve this gift or undeserve this gift. You and I have been given a gift that is completely and totally 100% free. Think of this gift of God's grace and what Jesus has done, where you, right now, as you sit in Jesus, are completely and totally forgiven and made right with God as a gift. You did nothing to get yourself to that status. You did nothing to get yourself completely and totally blameless, forgiven, and right with God, but you in Jesus have received that 100%. Think about his love for you, when he loved you when you didn't deserve it. Think about how he brought you close when you should have been kept far. Think about how God, because of all of those things, all of the things that he has done in your life, all of the things that he has taught you, all of the things that he has saved you from, how the gospel has changed your heart and your mind. Think of the gifts, the gift that you've been given. You have been given wealth beyond comparison. You've been given a gift. But can I tell you something about this gift? Not only have you been given all of these things, and literally all you have to do is receive. It's somebody giving you keys, car keys. All you have to do is take the car keys. All you have to do is receive. You've been given, whether you feel it today or not, whether you feel like a good Christian, whether you feel like you're near to God, if you are in Jesus, you have received this gift right as you sit in this room 110%. But I need you to know, as you sit here, fully right with God, as you sit here fully redeemed, fully loved, fully forgiven, as you sit here and receive all of these things, it is not only a gift you've been given, but a gift that you are entrusted with. Not to just keep to yourself, but to give it away. We are those that have received great wealth. And so what are we supposed to do, Jesus, in the meantime? Right? We're here 2,000 years later. We're Christians. We're following you. You came to earth. We weren't there, but now we're waiting for you to come back. What do we do in the meantime? Well, what do we do while you're gone? Is it just Sunday service? Is it just being religious Christians? Is it just going through the motion? What do we do in the meantime? And Jesus says, I have called you and entrusted you with a gift, with great wealth. Go and see it multiplied. This is the call. This is the main point of his message. This is what he wants to get across. Is guess what? You are not just here at Anthem Church as a visitor, as an attendee. That you would be missing out on so much that Jesus has for you. You are here as a partner. That's the call of Jesus. He says, will you come and be an agent of this gift yourself? See, I love that he says, each according to his own ability. I love that. I love that he says that. See, because I have friends who are the type of people, I don't know if you know any of these type of people, who are the type of people who can meet anybody on earth and immediately be best friends with them. Do you know anybody like that? Like I have these friends who we can be absolutely anywhere I go with them. It doesn't matter if it's a coffee shop or the DMV. All right, it doesn't matter if we're like in a hurry at the store. It doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. I know without a shadow of a doubt that they are going to meet somebody and they are going to make this person feel like they're their new best friend. Does anybody know somebody like that? Man, like honestly, it is annoying how good they are at that. Like, oh my goodness. Like they are just, and I'm thinking not only do I have one friend, I have three friends. I don't know why, like maybe because I'm just one other person. Like I think we're best friends, but they're like, yeah, I'm best friends with everybody, man. Just kidding. But they are masters at making people feel like they're their best friends. They are so good at it. And I wish I was like that. I wish I could do it as well as they could. They have, I don't know what it is about them. I can't replicate it. I'll try it out, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's your name? Yeah, nice. Well, good. And they're like, they're by that time they're already like hugging. The other person's already crying. They're telling them their life story. They're like, man, do you want to come over for dinner next week? And I'm like, what's your name again? Just kidding. But they are masters, and I wish I was like that. But here's the thing. Often we can keep ourselves from answering the call because we are not like so-and-so. And I don't know what it is for you. Oh, I don't know enough. Oh, I don't have what they have. Oh, no. I'm just little old me. I don't work at a church. I'm not in ministry. I don't like no. Like I'm just me. I'm just me. Like no. I don't have what they have. That's not me. But what I need you to see with this master, and what I need you to see that Jesus is trying to communicate and let you know and let his disciples know that in the economy of this master, it's not one size fits all. I need you to see today that we are not all called to the same thing, but we are all called to something. Did you notice in the parable how the master said the same thing to the second servant as to the first, even though the first had greater ability? The same exact welcome and congratulations and affirmation was given to both. Yet the first had greater ability. And the truth is, the master, this is what he knew. He knew how much he put in each of their hands. And so the question for you and I today is not, how much did God put in somebody else's hand? The question for you and for me today is, what did God put in mine? Because he put in your hand what he knew you could do. He put in your hand, he knows your background. He knows where you come from. He knows where you've been, what season in life. He knows what side of the globe you're on. He knows your DNA. He knows the way you've made up. He knows your personality. And what this verse, what this parable is trying to tell you and tell me is we all have something, okay? We all have people. We all have places. We all have opportunities. We all have things inside of us where Jesus expects us to follow him, to bear fruit in the world, and to be a blessing to others because we follow Jesus. This is his call. We all have something. Every single one of us in the room. We all have something. And so the call is, will you take what he's given you, take what he's placed in your hands, and go and bear fruit. Go and see it multiplied. Go and be a blessing. This is the call. You are not just an attendee. You are not just a visitor. You are not just a spectator. The call is you are a partner. And so that's the first thing. And this is the main point of this verse here, is we are called and entrusted with the gift that he has given every single one of us. And the second thing we see in this verse, when two smaller, shorter things, the second thing is an encouragement. We see an encouragement. The parable goes on. He says, after a long time, the master of those servants, returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness. I love that he starts this part here with after a long time. I love that he starts it that way. See, have you ever seen one of those videos on the internet where the parents put the treat in front of the kids and they're secretly filming them, and then the parents tell them, they go away and they say, do not eat it until I return. Has anybody seen those videos? They're hilarious. They're amazing. We actually did one with Scarlett, my 4-year-old. We set her up. Set her at the table, and we set up our phone, kind of like hidden. And we're like, all right, Scarlett. I know it's kind of evil, isn't it? Like, why would we do that to our child? My goodness, what kind of parents are we? We did it though. It was funny. So we sit her down at the table, and we said, don't eat this treat until we come back, okay? We would leave. We went to the other room, and you can see it on video. You see her, it's just sitting there. She's eyeing it, looking towards where we left, just waiting for us to come back. And I'm glad to say she passed. She did not eat it until we came back. Yeah, that's a feat for a 4-year-old, right? Like, that was awesome. We were so proud of her. But okay, we all know though, like, that's awesome, but we all know on the inside of us, what I'm really saying is we didn't make her wait long enough, right? Like, because we all know that the longer you make the babies wait, like, the odds of them making it through dramatically decrease, right? Like, if we were gonna be out there for an hour, we could have been out there for however long. So what I'm saying is we didn't wait long enough. We're still proud of her though. She's amazing. She's such a good girl. She's incredible. But the truth is, I don't know about you, but if I am in the meantime long enough for anything, at some point, I'm going to begin to wonder, is this really worth it? You know what I mean? Like is this really worth it? And think about your life with God. At the beginning, right? There's this excitement. At the end, there's like this fulfillment. But sometimes in the middle, in sometimes the long middle, and sometimes the middle where it's hard to see where it's going, where it's hard to see the end. Sometimes, if you're honest with yourself, in the day-to-day grind, in the week-to-week of life and everything we've got going on, you can begin to wonder and feel discouraged. Is this all worth it? And I don't know if you are in one of those seasons in the room today, where in the meantime feels like a long time, where in the meantime kind of sucks because you're waiting for the results, where in the meantime is really difficult because you're waiting for the end. You're waiting to see the other side, but you just aren't yet. Sometimes in the meantime can be very discouraging, can be really hard. And if I could just encourage you today and remind you that your faithfulness to Jesus is not in vain. It's not for nothing. I love how at the end of this parable, I don't know if you caught this or not, but at the end of this parable, the master does something kind of crazy. You know what he does? He lets the servants keep the profits. Do you notice that? Did you catch that? At the end of this whole thing, not only does he entrust them with great wealth, but he lets them keep it. And what I love about that today is that the day will come where we need to remind ourselves for a moment. We need to remember that the day will come when we will share in the joy and the happiness and results of our faithfulness. The day will come where you will hear, "Well done." And somebody maybe needs to hear that today. Because maybe you're in this season, you are being faithful where nobody sees. Maybe you're doing activities, you're doing things, your life is full, your life is packed. It's not public, but you're faithful in the shadows, in the background, in the areas and the parts of life and in the things that aren't public, that aren't applauded, that people aren't seeing and looking at. I need you to hear today, keep going. That the reward will be greater than the price you paid. And maybe you need to hear that today. Maybe you've been looking for some sort of affirmation. Maybe you've been looking, God, does what I'm doing matter? I want to encourage you today and say, well done. Or maybe you're here and you're wondering, do the small things I'm doing matter? Are those small things, are the things that I'm doing matter at all? Something I love about this verse, there's actually a really funny thing about this parable. You know what the funny thing is? It's actually hilarious, and it's actually, I think, intended to be funny. The funny thing about this parable is that the master says to each one of them, you have been faithful with a few things. Now, why in the world is that funny? That is funny because the word translated bag of gold in these verses here is actually in the Greek the word talent, okay? And that's not like a talent as in like what you're good at or like something that you are gifted with. What this word talent actually is, it's currency, it's money. And this word, this money, it's actually 20 years of wages. One talent is 20 years of paychecks. So I did the math, okay? So in Oregon, an average yearly income in Oregon is $65,000. So do you want to know how much one talent is? One talent is $1.3 million. Do you know how much the guy who got 5 talents, do you know how much he was given? He was given $6.5 million. So you can imagine these disciples, they are listening to Jesus tell this story, and he said, you've been given 1 talent. They're like, oh my gosh, you've been given 5 talents. Oh my goodness. And then he says, good job, you've been faithful with a few things. Would anybody here call $6.5 million a few? I wouldn't. Oh, 6.5 mil. Psh, you've been faithful with a few. Now let me show you the real stuff. Wow. What's he doing? Why does he do this in the story? You want to know what he's trying to do? Confuse them. What he's doing is he's flipping our ideas upside down about what's small and what's big. And you got to see this. Because I can talk to people, and I've talked to people. I've talked to people who work jobs where they don't feel is very much value, or they're not contributing, or it doesn't matter. I've talked to stay-at-home parents. I've talked to people who have retired. I've talked to pastors and everybody in between. And in their mind, the idea of success and what matters is something else. Oh, if I was doing something that matters. Oh, if I was doing something that's really important, it would look like this, but it doesn't look like what they're doing. Right? They're not preaching in front of thousands of people and telling 1,000 million people about God. And they're not, whatever your idea of big is, whatever your idea of important is, what Jesus is doing here is he's flipping it upside down. And you got to know that in this master's economy, that's not how it works. That's not what it works. In this master's economy, the way they are rewarded is purely and 100% on how the faithfulness to what was placed in their hands. Somebody needs to hear that. They were rewarded completely and totally just based on their faithfulness to what was placed in their hands. And to this master, to Jesus, 1 talent is small, but also big. Which one is it? Is $6.5 million big or is it small? Jesus says it's both. And I don't know if you are here and you need to remember that your small is not small in the kingdom of God. That the faithfulness to Jesus and the little things that you've got your hand to, the little things that he's placed in your hand, it matters. And the last thing that we find in this verse is a warning. And so here we arrive at the end of this story where it begins to deal with this third person, right? And the end is made to get our attention. And Jesus will often end his parables with some sort of this way. And so it's made to get our attention. But there are a couple things that I want you to notice about the ending that are really important to understand what Jesus is getting at. And so the first thing I need you to notice is that this third person This is not a person who tried and failed. Okay, I need you to see that. This was not somebody who gave it their best shot, who tried and didn't do enough. Because oftentimes people will take this verse and they will live in fear. They will be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I only have one talent, and I feel like I'm not that special, and I only have one talent, and am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Will I multiply it? Am I multiplying enough? No. That's not what he's saying. What I need you to see is this is not a story about someone who tried and failed, but what you see here is this person actually didn't try at all. They went and not even willing to do the bare minimum, dug it. They did not try, which is not failure, but rejection. And the second thing I need you to see from the last part of this story is I want you to notice their interaction. Okay, the interaction between them. Before the master even says anything, what does this third person start to do? They start to defend themselves. They start to say, all right, I know that you are a hard man. And they start to blame their rejection on the master, right? And then I need you to zoom out for a second. And I need you to see the whole scene. Because who's Jesus telling this story to? He's telling this story to his disciples. And so the story makes sense as you're tracking along, right? The master calls them to be his partners, and you can see Peter in the crowd, and he's thinking back. Jesus called him, a lowly fisherman, to go and be a disciple to a rabbi, which in this culture was one of the highest places you could ascend to in education. And Peter, he was not the type of people that God invited to be one of those people. He was a fisherman, which means he was already kicked out. He was already sent away. He was already looked over. Yet he got this in Jesus. And then the story goes on. And the master entrusts them with great, great wealth. And you can think of Peter thinking back to the last 3 years of his life and everything that he has seen and experienced with Jesus and walking with him in the last 3 years. And it makes sense. And then you get to the part where this third person starts calling the master a hard man. And wait, what? Everything is suggesting otherwise in the story and in their lives. Yet still, none of this mattered to the third servant. Not willing to do the minimum, not willing to even ask for mercy when he saw the generosity of the master towards the others, and living and staying in a cynical rejection of the master. And I think here, as in many cases, C.S. Lewis nails it. One of the great thinkers, Christian thinkers. He wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. I don't know if you've read it, the books, not the movies, the books. He wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. And the last book in the Chronicles of Narnia is a book called The Last Battle. Stick with me, I promise this will all connect. It's beautiful. It's a book called The Last Battle. And in this book, it's a book where the main character, Aslan, he's a lion representing Jesus, representing Jesus, where Aslan finally comes back to Narnia. He has finally returned, and he's back, and he's here, and he has defeated all evil, and now he's inviting all of the creatures of Narnia to come to the new Narnia. That's now possible because he's defeated evil, and he's set everything right, and he's finally returned. And so what they do to go to this new Narnia is they have to go through these stable doors. Okay, that's what it is in the book. They go through stable doors, and once they cross the stable doors, they enter into this beautiful land, right? This new Narnia. And so one of these creatures are the dwarves. And what the dwarves do is they go in through the stable doors, But to them, their motto is the dwarves are for the dwarves. That's their whole motto. And so they before they go into the stable doors, there's the last battle, and the dwarves, they don't fight for either side. They won't fight for Aslan's side. They won't fight for the other side. They're like, the dwarves are for the dwarves. It's important. And so the dwarves, they go in through this, through the stable door, and they don't want to be taken in by anybody. That's why the dwarves are for the dwarves. They don't want to get caught, get gotcha by anybody. So they go into the stable doors, and instead of seeing or experiencing this new world, they're convinced in their minds, right, that they are just in a stable. They're totally and 100% convinced. And so this character, Lucy, approaches them. And Lucy says all she can to try and convince them that they're in this new world. And she tries to do all of these different things. No, look, I want you to see where you're at. Look at where you're at. You're not in a stable. And she talks to them, and she tries to tell them all of these things, but they are convinced that they're just in a stable. And so finally, Lucy, in tears, goes and asks Aslan, and she says this. He said, Aslan, said Lucy through her tears, will you do something for these dwarves? Like, would you do something for this last servant? Like, that's, like, what? It ends like that? Would you? And then, dearest, said Aslan, I will show you both what I can and what I cannot do. He came close to the dwarves and gave a low growl. Low, but it set all the air shaking. But the dwarves said to one another, hear that? That's the gang at the under end of the stable, trying to frighten us. They do it with a machine of some kind. Don't take any notice. They won't take us in again. So Aslan raised his head and shook his mane, and instantly, a glorious feast appeared on the dwarves' knees. Pies and tongues and pigeons, I guess that's what dwarves eat, okay? Trifles and ices, but each dwarf had a goblet of good wine in his right hand. But it wasn't much use. They began eating and drinking greedily enough, but it was clear that they couldn't taste it properly. They thought they were eating and drinking only the sort of things you might find in a stable. One said he was trying to eat hay, and another said he got a bit of an old turnip, and a third said he'd found a raw cabbage leaf. And they raised golden goblets of rich red wine to their lips and said, fancy drinking dirty water out of a trough that a donkey's been at. Never thought we'd come to this. But very soon, every dwarf began suspecting that every other dwarf had found something better, nicer than he had. And they started grabbing and snatching and went on to quarreling till in a few minutes there was a free fight. And all of the good food was smeared on their faces and clothes or trodden underfoot. But when at last they sat down to nurse their black eyes and their bleeding noses, they all said, well, at any rate, there's no humbug here. We haven't let anyone take us in. The dwarves are for the dwarves. And I'll finish here. You can have the band start coming up. Then Aslan says, you see, said Aslan, they will not let us help them. They have chosen cunning instead of belief. Their prison is only in their own minds, yet they are in that prison. And so afraid of being taken in that they cannot be taken out. the scriptures puts it this way: today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. I don't know if you're here today and you feel cynical towards God. And some of those things are real. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you've been hurt by people who said that they love God. Or maybe you've experienced something in your life, something really difficult and hard. And those things are real. But can I ask you today, at first, I'm so sorry. But can I ask you, don't apply things from an imperfect world and imperfect people to God. Can I ask you today to open your heart? Don't harden your heart to God. Can we stand?